Hi everyone. What goes in a meeting? How do I chair a meeting? How do I get started? Let me share with you my perspective on things. There are three moments when we think about hosting a meeting, which one of you will be doing in the next session of the Youth Leadership Program. There's the before moment, the during moment, and the after moment. Let's dive into the before moment. And the before moment would simply start, from my perspective, with one question: the meeting agenda. What is it? But more specifically, what goes in an agenda? And here I'm going to ask you to pause this video for a couple of minutes, identify from your perspective what would go in your meeting agenda, whether you're hosting the next meeting or not, and then write it down somewhere. And when you're done, come back and have a look. And when you're done, come back and resume this video. So you may have a list which would fit in what I'm going to share now. I start by thinking about what I want to have in my meeting. What does that mean? I'm going to have a checklist and I'm going to identify possibly number one, number two, number three, number four, speaker number one, educational item, evaluation item, so on and so forth. Now, it can happen that I do not have the order of things, of the different elements in my checklist. One recommendation here: go back and have a chat with the host of your youth leadership program, Mr. Vyankoj Mulloo, and ask him, here's what I want to have. How do I set it up? Can you help me? And when that's done, you'll be able to identify which segment goes when, answering the when question. Once that's done, you also need to have in mind the flow of events in your meeting. Like I mentioned earlier, number one, number two, number three, and it's frozen right now, but once it appears, number three, number four, number five. The whole point here is what happens when. You need to be clear on that. And when that is done, you can then identify and inform your role players. Good news, your role players, they are already identified. Educational item, evaluation item, your host will help you on those. So do have a chat with him. Where you need to work on is informing your role players that they will be speaking when. Now, again, part of the good news: educational item is taken care by your host, evaluation item possibly taken care by your host, but your speakers, you need to communicate with your fellow members of the same program that, hey, you're speaking on this day, you're speaking on this order in this slot, so you need to inform them. Now, how would you go about doing that? The when and the what again, but going into more details. It means you also need to capture their speech details. What is the title of their speech? You need to capture the duration of the speech. Here, it's taken care for you. The host will already share with everyone this is how long you're expected to speak on, and that information you are going to use to populate your agenda. Now, example, all the speakers can be speaking for, let's say, 5 to 7 minutes. Now, in your agenda, you're going to have 5 minutes, the green light, 6 minutes, the yellow light, and 7 minutes, the red light. When I'm using the word light here, I'm referring to those cards which Mr. Mulloo was just putting and showing to everyone as they were speaking along. One item you also are going to do, which I haven't put in those slides, is recruit a timer. Your host is not going to time you for the next sessions onwards. So as you prepare the agenda, you also need to identify someone who's going to be timing the sessions. If you want to make it easy for that person, you can break the role for half of the session. That means you can have two timers, one from the start till the break, and one after the break till the end. Makes it easier for them. But you still need to share with them the timing details. And once you've done that, You then need to compile the introductions. For example, you're going to be introducing me if I'm going to be delivering an educational item. What do you need to know about me? My maybe my background, maybe why I'm speaking here, maybe the purpose of the speech. So you need to be clear on capturing those information. Again, in the youth leadership program situation, it's pretty much straightforward. The speaker will come and the introduction that they will give you will be aligned to the speech. An easy mistake to do, and I've done it before in the past so many times, is I capture the introduction of my speaker, and after I've shared the introduction, when the speaker is talking, no one can relate what I've introduced about the speaker to their speech. What does that mean? The introduction has to set up the speech that the speaker is going to talk about. For example, if I'm going to talk about this mug, the benefits of this mug, you're not going to introduce me as a Windows specialist, right? You're going to introduce me possibly as someone who likes mugs, who loves mugs, who, hey, maybe doing a video on mugs. Well, you get the point, right? I'm not going to talk about mugs, but that's how it's done. Moving on, also try to confirm in advance. I know. You're going to think, but Christian, I go to school, I've got tuitions, I got a life, and my friends in the same program have the same situation. You want me to confirm in advance? But confirming in advance, as well as this whole program, is preparing you for what comes ahead once you graduate. That means you need to always be ready. And confirming in advance is part of that preparation. Recommendation here is confirm 2 days in advance at least. Everyone knows, again, the good thing, everyone knows when they are going to be speaking, but that doesn't mean that they'll be ready for it because life happens, right? So at least 2 days before the event. So if it's a Saturday, on Thursday, you've shared a message. You can either share it to everyone who's speaking, or you can just pop it as a message in the WhatsApp group. My recommendation is send the message directly to the person, DM the person. You'll avoid flooding the WhatsApp group with information which is not relevant to everyone. So once you've done that, you can tell yourself, hey, great, we have it. So again, means of communication, you already have a WhatsApp group. Doesn't mean that you can't use your mobile phone, email, phone, whatever works for you, and your role players. Once that's done, you also need to ask them, what tactical support you need? What do I mean by that? Do you need a laptop to present? Do you need a projector? Do you need a table to set up a demo you're going to be doing, depending on what your speech is about? Do you need power outlets to connect any devices? So you need to ask them what technical support you need. That will help you get ready before the meeting starts and avoid any unwanted surprises. Now, talking about surprises, we're always going to have last minute surprises, right? Because I keep repeating myself here, but life happens. And you'll be like one of those people, WTF, fill in the exclamation marks as many as you want. But that's part of the game. Yes, I said it. But when that happens, and here I'm going to ask you to do one thing. If I can move on, yes, I can move on. Pause this video and identify over a couple of minutes what can go wrong. What do you think can go wrong in a meeting? And when you're done, come back and resume this video. From my perspective, this is what can go wrong in a meeting. Something happened. The room was not ready. You saw it last time we went to the venue. We were supposed to go in a hall. They were painting the hall, so we had to shift and go to another room. Now, what do you think would have happened if your host had reached the event at the same time that you were supposed to reach at 1 p.m.? Do you think it would have been pleasant for you? Or it's a good feeling when you come, everything is ready, the table's already, you know where you're going to sit? What do you think is a better experience for your audience? Number two, someone forgot something. For example, I'm going to come and deliver a speech and I forgot to bring my laptop. What's the backup? I'm going to come and deliver a speech and I forgot my presentation at home, my PowerPoint or whatever. What do I do? And then number three, it's not working. That will always happen. Something will go wrong when you least expect it. So don't worry about those questions, those situations, and just go with the flow because guess what? If you've gone through these processes, that means before the meeting, not only in terms of stuff in your hand and preparation, in your mind, the mindset itself is ready to tackle everything that's going to come your way. And that means you're going to have a fun time when the meeting starts, which is during the meeting. So at the start of the meeting, what you want to do, well, before the meeting starts, obviously I already said that earlier, reach early and set up or help set up. Make sure that everything is set up as the host wants it or as more specifically you want it. It could happen that you want to have the setup in a specific way because you want to do a specific theme. Could be. Think about it and why not have it in place. But when that's done, the early arrival doesn't apply to you only, it also applies to your role players. Here's a question. Do you want, when the meeting has started, the first two persons who are supposed scheduled to speak, they're not here, they haven't showed up? How do you think it feels to your audience when you're waiting? Oh, it's time now for the first speaker to come and we're going to invite Christian, and everyone is clapping and Christian is nowhere to be found, right? So early arrival is not only for you, but for role players. You're going to tell me some of you have tuition, some of you are on the way or taking the bus or the metro. But if those things happen, because you'll be phoning them, you'll be calling them as well, or getting support from your host. If your first speakers are late, then you're going to reshuffle. That means you're going to swap them. You put them in the second half of the session because you want the show to go on. Once the time starts, the time has started. Because when an event, when a meeting starts, it has to end. We start on time, we end on time. And that's your space, your time where you have to juggle with everything. But it has to be fun. And before the meeting starts, with your role players, with your host, just do a final check, a final review of the flow of your meeting. Is this what we want? Da, 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 da. Do you have the introductions? Oh, you didn't send me your introduction. Please write it on a piece of paper. Boom, I have it right now. So that's a good practice to have. Having said that, this slide captures the review, how you want to go about doing it in case you don't know how to run a review. Again, you have your agenda, you've shared copies of it with your fellow speakers, your fellow members of the youth leadership program, or you've asked your host to print out the agenda for you. You go through it, what's happening when, and then you do final check, role players, the timings, any changes, and then you're good to go. The meeting starts. But this is only part of the fun because during the meeting, especially when it starts, you need to start practicing a few things. We call them protocols in Toastmasters, and here they are. At the start of the meeting, you share the agenda. You just have a brief overview because you want to get everyone focused on what's happening over the next 2 hours, but you also want to share the changes, any changes which are not set in the agenda but are happening in the last minute. So you want to have that brief overview and share it with your audience. Now, when you're done with that, I don't need to say anything, right? You've said it a couple of times already. When someone comes on a stage, what's different now is you lead with the applause. It can be hard and funny at the start because we don't usually practice this, but it's going to be fun, especially when the first person comes. Everyone's like, huh? what is he or she going to talk about, and then you put everyone in good spirit, like one of the previous facilitators mentioned. You respect the speaker, the audience participates in that, and everyone is ready. But you also need to be mindful of this element. It's a 2-hour event, the youth leadership programs, which the youth leadership program sessions which we are running. That means it's 1 hour roughly with a break of 10 to 15 minutes and then another hour. So some of your participants may be looking forward to this break time. In case that there's a change, you need to announce the break time at the start of the meeting. And when the break time is coming up, you announce it again, because if you don't announce it, you've gone into break. Some of your participants may be sitting here and then telling themselves, "What's happening? I'm lost. Is it break time?" So you want to be always on point with the events in your meeting. Now, there is a specific moment where, after you've introduced someone, they are going to come on the floor, on the speaking area. You're going to move away. So how does that work? You introduce them by sharing the introduction. Hopefully they've provided one. So it's introduction, name, and then handshake, move on, and the person comes on and speaks. Once that's done, once the speaking is done, as they leave, you handshake, you do three things here. You thank the speaker, you share your perspective, always in a positive attitude and mindset about how you felt about what the speaker shared. You again lead with the applause, and then you transit to the next segment. Simple, right? Actually, it is simple. But once you practice it, it's going to be fun. I'm using the fun word quite a lot here because the point I want to make is it has to be fun for you. Because if it's not fun for you, you're going to be stressed. And when you're stressed, your audience may be stressed as well. So you always need to communicate in a fun manner, especially when you're hosting an event. And when everything is done and dusted, you're going to do a few things. Remember to thank your audience. Remember to thank especially your role players, and thank your host for helping you. You also need to share updates. For example, in the last meeting, because of time, I couldn't do this presentation on site with you. I shared, I'm going to share it with you on Sunday, which is what I'm doing right now. So that's an example of an update. So if you have similar updates, do share them. If your host also wants to share updates with you, do check with him at break time. Is there anything you'd like me to add at the end of the session? Yes or no, and you'll get the updates. And at the end, hand over back to your host, and you're done. You're back in your seat, everything is done. You're happy, everyone has enjoyed the show, and you can relax now and plan for your next meeting. Now, what I've shared with you, I'm going to invite you to do a few things. Number one, if something is not clear, post your questions in the comment section of this video, and I'll try to answer them within 48 hours maximum. Number two, if you're going to be preparing your meeting for the next session, you already know what to do. Start preparing early, because you know what the early bird gets, right? So you want to be the early bird. So get ready, get down with your preparation, and I wish you all the best if you're hosting the next meeting. If you're not, well, watch out and host a future one. That's all for me. Thank you so much for being patient with me. Have a good weekend and see you next week.